Hey everyone, this is Kurt, finally back again with the Monongahela Northern N-Scale Model Railroad after a very long and busy 2022. These next few videos were actually shot in February and March of 2022, but I never had a chance to edit and merge the various videos until now. What you see here is where I left off from the last video, so what you will see in the coming videos is the upper river build out, the lower river scenery build out, the install of the falls, lower rapids, and the reinstall of the weathered bridges to finish off the scene. It took 4 months to complete this entire scene from start to finish, but the results are way beyond my expectations. So let's start with the in-progress build of the upper river here. I made a number of mistakes in this with the build itself, which you will see here, and some poor video as I found myself blocking the camera, causing it to refocus, and we'll try to edit out as much of the poor video as possible without losing too much. I hope you enjoy this, maybe learn a few tips from my mistakes and the things I did well, and as always, would love to hear your feedback, ideas, and tricks of the trade.
I decided not to videotape while I was trying to color the base of this river and figure out what this scene needed to look like. I played around with a bunch of different colors. I started out with the blue, a deep blue, and I didn't like the color that was representing when it dried. I tried a green, hunter green with a little bit of black mixed in, and that came out too dark, not green enough. I came back and stippled it with some hunter green, and I kind of liked the way that came out. And then I added some colors to lighten up different areas a little bit. Used some yellow ochre in a dry brush pattern. I used some earth undercoat and some green undercoat around the edges. I added some talus that was a mix of hunter green and earth undercoat. I mixed into the talus into the paint, and that's what you see is the green. I added some brown talus. Colored all the different rocks in there. I'm not sure if I like all the colors here yet, but I am going to just look around the edges of this and see where we're at. And I think I'm going to do a pour of realistic water on the top piece up here. And I'm going to tape this off, and I'm going to do a little pour of realistic water up there and see what it looks like after the pour. If I don't like it, then I can come back and recolor it. Down here is going to be a deeper pour. So I have an epoxy resin to do that. So let's see what the realistic water looks like. Okay, so I'm going to start this the realistic water pour. I'm going to use this up here and just do a thin pour up here and see how it holds, see how we do. Never used this stuff before, but it seems easy enough to use from all the videos I've seen. Now I got to only pour this in about 1/8 of an inch, so I'm going to keep this a little light, and then we're going to let it dry overnight, and I'll see what it looks like in the morning. I think we're doing pretty good. I have a little lip behind this tape or underneath this tape, so it actually, the pour doesn't go too bad, and so I'm not too worried about that seal on that side. And it looks like it's filling in pretty nice back here. I'm going to go get myself actually, I don't think I need to do anything. I'm going to let that dry overnight. Hopefully some of those bubbles will pop, and then I'm going to add another pour into that tomorrow and see how it does. So the first pour was an epic failure. I had some run out in the front, but not all that much. The big problem was the back left did not seal well, and most of the epoxy ran out, the realistic water ran out. So I got some clear silicone caulk, and I put the silicone caulk around the front and around the back in the tape, and I did another pour. That pour held up fine, but the realistic water just shrinks dramatically as it dries. So now I've got to do another pour. I can either do another pour of realistic water. I think I'm just going to use an epoxy resin to finish this up and get it done right. I did another pour here with an epoxy resin on the front end of this. I had also put some silicone caulk up here to make sure I didn't have any run out. So I poured an epoxy resin in here. There's nothing in this waterfall or this little falls area that's going to start where the big rapids are going to start. But that's okay because a lot of that's going to be covered up. But this pour looks pretty good. I'm going to let this sit. It takes like 72 hours for this epoxy resin to cure. But we'll take a look at it tomorrow and see how it looks. Right now it looks great. I went and popped the bubbles with a toothpick. Don't see any bubbles in there, and I think the scene actually looks pretty good. So I'll keep you posted and pop another video as soon as this cures. So I had to do 3 more pours on the top section. It turns out that I think a lot of the shrinkage was absorption into the rocks around all the plaster that's around the whole thing. I sealed the riverbed, but I did not seal the rocks around the edges, and I think they were absorbing a lot of the realistic water. I still think there is some shrinkage going on. So I did a 3rd pour today, and I'll let that go till tomorrow, but I think I'm done up there. The lower level here, I had several leaks in that that actually leaked underneath. So once again, it was seals around the edges on both sides. I went back and I added some sealer around the edges, and I'm about to do a 2nd pour on the lower part of this river, and hopefully this will resolve some of the issues, and I'll get up to the level that I want to be at with this particular pour. And if not, I can do another pour. This resin takes about 3 days to cure, though, so it takes quite a while. Compared to the realistic water, which takes about 24 hours to cure, this is a lot longer. Let's see where we're at here. Get a little more there. This could be perfect. Wasn't sure if I was going to have enough here, but I think I do. And then if this works out, then I'll be able to go in and put in my my rapids, which will come in next. I'll add some waves on top with some Mod Podge gloss or something else. I'll try the Mod Podge gloss because I've seen a lot of people use Mod Podge gloss to kind of create the look of a wave up there. Down here, there's going to be more rapids coming into the waterfall. So, but that pour looks pretty good. I think that we're going to be okay there. Everything looks to be sealed up pretty well, and I'm going to play around with that a little bit as far as moving and pushing it around, make sure I got everything covered. And I'll let you know how it goes in a day or so. All right, we're about 4 days past the pour of the epoxy down here and the realistic water up there. Not real happy with the way the realistic water is clouded over. I don't know if I poured that too thick. It was my 4th pour on that too as well. So not happy with that, but it's far enough away and far back enough in the layout that you really won't see it from like when you get back here at this level, because it's about the normal level you're going to be looking at this whole thing. So I think I'm okay with that. I'm going to get another rock placed in here, get it colored and glued down, and then I'm going to put some water effects across the front of this just to smooth this out. That was where I had my silicone, clear silicone. And you can see this is still pliable, so I'm wondering if this just hasn't completely hardened and maybe my pour was a little bit too thick. It doesn't look bad, it just doesn't look as good as this does. And I have a whole bunch of water effects, ripples and stuff that I put together so that I can start creating the rapids coming through here. So I'm going to start by putting some water effects on the front edge of this upper part, just to get, smooth this transition here for anything that I don't cover up. And then I'm going to use some Mod Podge gloss to kind of create waves in the river. I've watched people do this. It looks pretty cool. So we're going to see if it works. Never done it before, so wish me luck. This should be easy enough to do, though. It looks simple. And I'll have to wait for this bead that I'm putting across the front here to dry before I can put the rapids down the front coming off of this. So I also think I want to put another stone right in here. In fact, I'm going to put another stone right in there because I want to create a push out over these two rocks that are sitting there. So let's get this in place here. Yeah, for the realistic water, I'm not sure if I did something wrong, whether I poured it too deep. I'm not really sure what happened there and why it's cloudy. I'm hoping it dries clear at some point, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. If it doesn't, I just have to live with it because I'm not going to tear it up. If this was in the lower part of the river where it was front and center where everyone could see it, then I would probably tear it up and redo it with the epoxy resin. And I guess, you just can't pour that deep. The first couple of pours I did on that were fine. And the last pour that I did, which was the fourth pour, because I hadn't sealed up the sides. By the way, before you pour any epoxy resins, make sure that you seal up your, or even the Woodland Scenics Realistic Water. Make sure you seal up the edges with, you can use a mat. I use the Mod Podge mat. And it kind of creates a good enough seal. Sure, there's other options for that. The clear silicone, supposedly that clear silicone that I had that I put down in front here and in back, and it's even down here. I don't like it. It didn't come out clear. It did not dry clear. It dried opaque. And so I won't be using that again for anything. But that should be good enough there. Well, I apparently forgot to start the video while I was stippling this river with the Mod Podge gloss to get a wave effect, but I'm just using a paintbrush to create waves. And I've seen people use a straw to actually try and create a current in this, so I'm going to see how that does. See if I can create a current for the water with a straw. pretty cool. It does work. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it or not, but I think as it dries, I'll get a better texture on this by blowing through the straw. And what I'll most likely do is come back with some water effects to create some ripples around this. I'll just put it directly on here. I have some water effects stuff ready, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit that and make it do what I want it to do. So I can use the water effects after this dries to actually create the currents that come around a rock and, you know, and smooth out into the back, and then everything getting ready to fall over these this edge, and that's where I'm going to use all of the pieces that I showed you that I was making. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that alone for right now. Looks good. Get a towel here to wipe that off because I don't want to leave that too glossy. So there you go. I'll be doing that on the lower part as well, all through this area. And then when that's all dried, then I'm going to start adding in the ripple effects that I created on the picture frame. So I finished stippling with the Mod Podge gloss. As you can see, the upper part is already starting to dry. Wait for this lower part to dry, and then I'm going to wait for this water effects to dry before I put in all of the rapids that are going to be coming through these rocks that I had laid out on the picture frame. So probably won't be doing anything more here today, at least for the water. I might do some work on another section of the layout. But I also got to keep my dust down. I don't want a whole bunch of dust in this stuff. Starting to look pretty good. After it dries clear, then I'm going to come back with a paintbrush and I'll create some ripples from that, you know, white caps with a paintbrush, just with a wet or a dry brushing of some white over top of some of these, and we'll see how it looks. So that's what the texture looks like. It's not completely dry yet, but you can see where areas are dried and creating the waves on there. Same thing down here. You're just getting some texture to the water. So if I get down low, you can see actually the waves that are coming through there. This is exactly what I was looking for, to create some waves showing the currents of the water. I think it's awesome. So I'm pretty happy with this. And I'll come back in video when I start putting in the rapids. I weathered the bridge and put the track back in it. I probably want to do some weathering on that track too, but I'll get around to that later. Looks pretty good.
So here's a still photo of that upper river piece just after I completed it. You can see from an upper level view the texture of the water, the clarity of that water there, and so you can see the bottom and the depth that's created from all the different coloring I did underneath. I think it came out really good. There's a lot more work to do here, and when you see the finished product, you'll understand all the different things that I did using what I put in here. But it came out really nice. I'm very happy with where this went, and wait until you see the next pieces coming up. I realized when I was putting this video together that I am missing a video. I must have deleted it, but it's a video where I created waves and rapids for the rapids coming off the falls and coming down the sides and all the white that you see there. I created them on a picture frame by using water effects and then texturing the water effects, and then I let it dry and I peeled them off and I put them in up here. The way they came out pretty good. I dry brushed some white on top of them to create that effect of water, rushing water. I think it looks pretty good, and there's going to be a lot more coming here, but I wanted to let you guys know that I did a lot of what you see here using water effects, but putting it on glass and creating texture. and then installed it. I put them down with some Mod Podge gloss, and that's how I glued them in place. And this is where we're at. So I'll start the next video with how I'm going to do some more finish work on this scene.
Okay, so I'm going to start out with a little dry brush. After I take a sip of Glenlivet. Yeah, I'm a Scotch drinker. So I'm going to do a little dry brush here. I created a lot of texture up front here. I think I'm going to need a paper towel to wipe some of this off because it was a little bit too much there. I don't like when the lines are dragged through it, so I just want to soften that up a little bit. I didn't wipe enough off of the brush, so just make sure you wipe enough off of your brush. I'm learning. Takes a little bit of time. So the whole idea here is to create the waves coming right up to the drop off here without removing all the colors that are in this. I'm going to start working down into this this drop off. Just a little bit of paint. It'll create the illusion of the white water that I'm looking for. By playing around with the far side of this earlier today, I kind of got an idea of how to do this a little bit better. Made some mistakes in the process, didn't like the way some of it came out. Had to work around it, but I think where I'm at right now is kind of liking how this is coming out. One of the things I don't want to do is cover up all of the depth of color and the stones and everything that is underneath it here. I want to make sure that it's still viewable and that it looks good. I've only learned how to do dry brushing from just playing around here. I'm watching videos from everybody online. Got a stone that fell out there. Have to glue that boy back in.
And what I'll do is once I put the waterfall in, I'm going to create a lot of the stippling like what I did back here, and it'll come back a little bit farther, probably about here, so that you'll see white water starting to form right before it drops off the edge. Then we'll see how it looks. You know, you can always change it. That's a wonderful thing. I'm going to take my little teeny brush here and just put some little dots out here. I'm going to take this brush, which is completely dry, and spread that out a little bit. All right, I think I'm done with all of that, at least for now, and I'll let it dry and I'll see what it looks like, and then I'll probably come back and do some more. All right. No, I'm not done yet. Okay. Well, we can call that done for now, and then I'll come back and do some touch-up work if I don't like it. But I think I'm pretty good with that.
Well, it looks like I forgot to actually hit the video when I stippled all this, and then while I was doing that, I started looking at these little waves that I could see from the gloss Mod Podge that I had put down, and I decided to do the tops of those. And so I'm going to show you exactly how I do that. Get a little bit of white on my brush, and I'm just going to lower myself down so I can see where the waves actually are. And I can pick up on them and
So I'm just picking random spots to add a little texture to the water, because it actually will end up looking like much more like real water and real waves coming through. A little bit more paint here. You want to make sure your brush is pretty dry when you're doing this. Oh, that's a little too dry. Some of these tops are not really well formed, but that's okay. I'm not coming all the way up to the edge here, because when I put in the waterfall, I'm going to backfill with some of the water effects. This looks like it's coming out exactly how I would like it to be. So I step back and look at it. That looks pretty good. And if I don't like it, I can take some of it off with a quick wipe. But I think it looks pretty good. Something else I decided to try was adding some fiber material in here, some fluffy fiber to give the illusion of water splashing. I don't know if I like it or not. I'll take a look at it after the glue on it dries. I put it down with Mod Podge gloss. So we'll take a look at it after it's all set up and see how I like it.
So that completes the Upper River build. It came out better than I expected. Really happy with it. There's still a little bit more work to do close to the falls, but I've got to do the background scenery that'll be behind the falls and all of the scenery down the bottom that's pretty close to the lower part of this river. That will be in the next video you'll see coming up soon.